Hi, this is Jim from Trek World. Join me after the break as we take a look at every reference video shot of the original 3-foot model. Now, as most of you are probably aware, the original 3-foot model was delivered in 1964, and as such, it was used for almost every shot in the cage except for one. Now, before we actually go and begin reviewing the clips, I want to point out that every video clip that you're going to see in this video is running at half speed. So it takes 4 seconds to display what in the television series would have been 2 seconds. And I did that, even though I'm looping them, I did that to give you a better chance at actually being able to observe the ship as it goes through the clip. So since the 3-foot model was the first of the Enterprises to be completed, when they filmed the cage in 1964, they used it for the vast majority of footage they needed of the Enterprise moving through space. So they built a library of 8 basic shots. The first of which you see here I call approach and depart. Pretty basic. The Enterprise whizzes toward you and then whizzes away. Then they took that exact same shot and they cut it in half, so they had approach footage and depart footage. The next film clip we see I call Underpass, because you actually approach the Enterprise from the front, but instead of going above or around the side, we actually pass underneath the saucer. Now this next clip I call Sail Away, because it basically shows you the Enterprise very slowly accelerating away from you, almost like a ship just leaving a dock. Next up is one that I call From Right to Left, which is pretty obvious because the Enterprise sails in from the right hand of the screen and makes its way across to the left. They probably shot this thinking they were going to use it quite a bit, but let's face it, by the time the 11-foot model showed up, that was the one you wanted for this kind of shot. The next thing they did is something I call flipped approach, which is pretty interesting. They shot a different approach clip than the one that was above, but then they flipped it from left to right, so that when you watch it, the Enterprise comes at you from the right side instead of the left. And then the last shot they did was one that I call slow depart. The Enterprise starts at left frame and then literally just disappears into the distance. Remember that around this time, Roddenberry was promoting Star Trek as Wagon Train to the Stars. This was a big part of his sales pitch. So I don't think it's a coincidence that this really resembles the riding off into the sunset theme that we see so often at the end of Western movies. Now, that may seem like a lot of footage, but believe it or not, it only accounts for 29 seconds total of the entire episode of The Cage. Now, while the approach clips would be used in every one of the series credits, only 2 other shots were actually used during the series itself. Underpass was used in Is There in Truth No Beauty and in That Which Survives, and Approach was used in Charlie X, The Deadly Years, Obsession, By Any Other Name, The Enterprise Incident, Is There in Truth No Beauty, Day of the Dove, and That Which Survives.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the recent video you done on YouTube, USS Enterprise, the origin story of Star Trek's iconic model. It's very informative. There are things about the left side of the model that I never did know, and you have just really done a lot of good research, and you have the best channel there is on anything including about Star Trek. Thank you.
None of the other library shots from the cage were ever used again. About 6 months later, they had to go back and make the second pilot, Where No Man Has Gone Before. And they made the decision at that point that the opposite was going to occur from the cage. In this case, everything was going to be using the 11-foot model, except for one scene, leaving the barrier, which we can see here. Now, this scene was actually reused in 2 episodes, By Any Other Name and Is There in Truth No Beauty. Now, one of the things that's interesting if you look here is that the original in Where No Man Has Gone Before and By Any Other Name is flipped. You can actually see very clearly that the registry number 1701 is reversed. You can actually see the mirror image here. Now, by the time they did this again in Is There in Truth No Beauty, they corrected it so that it would actually be shown unreversed. So that was the only time this piece of footage was ever shown in its proper configuration. So we all know the story. After Where No Man Has Gone Before, they went ahead and they picked up the series. And so in 1966, there were some additional shots needed to be filmed of the 3-foot model. The first of these two shots was in Tomorrow is Yesterday, and you see the actual first clip there. This is what the Enterprise looks like to Captain Christopher as he is approaching from below in his fighter jet. The second shot that you're going to see slightly off to the right of that is what the Enterprise looked like when Captain Christopher was again approaching the Enterprise seconds after they had beamed him back into his fighter at the end of the episode. Now, for by any other name, they actually did use depart, but they also needed to indicate that the Enterprise was traveling outside of our galaxy to a new galaxy. So they shot an additional depart, which makes the Enterprise look like it's going even faster, and then they optically matted in the other galaxy. So this is all of the footage they shot of the 3-foot model. Well, maybe not all. There was one more time where the model was used in Star Trek, and that was to be used as a prop instead of a spaceship. The episode was Requiem for Methuselah, and in the episode, the Enterprise is captured from orbit, shrunk down to a 3-foot model, and left on a table. Now, at some point in the late 1978, someone at Paramount thought it would be a neat idea to actually have a holographic photo of the Enterprise present at the premiere cast party when the movie was released. At the top of the page is a fan-made reconstruction made by Carl Tate. He created by interpolating the frames missing between each of the frames. Now, it distorts pretty badly in places, but it does a good job of showing you what was filmed. So now let's get up with the fun stuff, like this right over here.